This program is for you. This is about you today. And so we really want the next hour and 15 minutes for you really to focus on who you are, who you want to be. And we're really going to ask you some tough questions, frankly. We want you to live an authentic life. It's a good time to be in the market. It's a really, really good time. And what you got to do is figure out what you're good at and what you like to do, and then find a firm who's excited about you for that. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is your resume. I believe that you need to keep it updated even when you're not looking, because guess what? As soon as you are looking, it's not ready and you're 3 years behind. What I like to say to people is set a calendar invite for the last working day of the month and look back at the last 3 or 4 weeks and say, what meetings have I attended and what have I done? And then you go to your working Word document that's probably ugly and you just type it all in. And then when you're ready and you need to go for it, you haven't missed anything. And so transitioning into today's world, which isn't just a paper resume, we've got LinkedIn. If you are a marketing person and you are not on LinkedIn, I will never find you. If you're on LinkedIn and you have less than 100 connections, I will seriously question whether or not I would think that you might be savvy enough to represent to one of my clients. That's the truth. As a marketing professional, do you understand? Like, it's just the basic sort of concept of you need to use this stuff and you need to know how to use it. Or else, I mean, what generation are we living in kind of thing. It's very important that your resume that you submit someplace looks just like your LinkedIn profile. The first thing an HR person will do, the first thing I do, look at it and I look for you online and I see, is it consistent? Are there typos? It's very easy to have no typos in your resume and then to have typos on LinkedIn. It's also very easy to not have your dates correct on LinkedIn. It's just so important that you know how to use the tool. This is mine and Kelly's generation right here. Bob Garrow, this is your generation, right? Silly string of a career path, right? Like it's like, but
I'm there.
This is the new grads of 2012, 2013. This is what, we're just going to straight up, right? So let me tell you, this isn't real. People think that it looks like this, but what it really looks like is this. And the reality of the situation is you take a lot of twists and a lot of turns before you figure out who you are and what you want to do.
Let's talk about the nasty N word, networking. We need to be intentional about it. I also find being intentional in why you're networking can take the stress out of it. It is also far more respectful. You need that broader network. You need the strength of loose ties, right? That's a benefit of social media. You know, you used to have to keep a mail, God, how do you keep in touch with everyone? Pick up the phone, right? Send a letter. You can be, you have people's eyeballs all the time. Doesn't matter if you haven't talked to them in 6 months or 6 years, right? You can reconnect with them. So it's that career control because you never know when that next opportunity is going to come around. And heck, who knows when the next 2008, 2009 economically is going to hit again. Think about who's in your network. And if it's too heavy somewhere or you're like, oh God, it's only this, you now know what you need to do, right? That to me is a heck of a lot easier. You've still got to go out and do it, but it's a heck of a lot easier than not knowing where to start. So understand who's in your network. Understand how it's behaving. Is it feeding you opportunities, right? Is it helpful? Are there people within your network or segments of your network that you've been overlooking that you're like, oh God, this could be really valuable? So one of the big things, if you want to stand out in a big gap activity, because it is a big old gap, is that follow-up, right? And couple things I want to stress on this. You're going to make yourself stand out, right? And excuses like, oh, but it was a month ago. Doesn't matter. We all know how life and busy and things are, okay? It also is one of these things in terms of the follow-up activity. I'm going to use this in the sense of a follow-up where you've reached out to someone and you haven't heard from them. And how do you follow up again? Right? I want to say this, in this day and age of overcrowded inboxes and overcrowded social media accounts and all the rest of it, okay, get comfortable with silence. And don't use silence as an excuse not to follow up or try and get an answer that you want. Until someone sends you some very definitive final answer, the door is never closed.